You only need to know me. I will be the one.
So, given the new bounties of the monster trio, the supernova as I call them, Luffy, Law, and Kid, and given the fact that Luffy has officially distinguished himself from his peers by becoming an Emperor of the Sea after defeating Kaido, whereas Law and Kid have not become emperors, it's worth asking where the story goes from here, especially because it does not seem like the alliance that took down Big Mom and Kaido to free Wano is necessary any longer. Wano has been saved, or has it? The great enemy that Kozuki Oden spoke of, the enemy that forced Wano to close its borders to begin with, to protect itself, does not appear to have been a pirate per se, but the world government. The world government and the Marines who are currently surrounding the country of Wano Kuni, as well as Green Bull who has landed in Wano with plans to capture Straw Hat Luffy. So let's consider what the future of the story has in store for the Wano Alliance, specifically the relationship of Luffy, Law, and Kid going forward, based on their current status as wanted pirates and their individual ambitions. So I see two possibilities for the alliance between Kid, Law, and Luffy, although we should admit that Kid has never outright claimed to be in an alliance with any of them. Their goals just happened to align for the time being, and Kid's desire to kill Luffy as of Chapter 1053 further cements this reality. But the two possibilities for the alliance are it ends or it continues into the near or distant future. I can see them going their separate ways for now, much like the alliance formed with Capone to defeat Big Mom and escape Whole Cake Island, with Capone reuniting eventually with the Straw Hats too. I can also see how the introduction of Green Bull and perhaps the SSG, the secret group Vegapunk has been working on, to rival the strength of the Seven Warlords and replace them. I can see this new threat forcing the alliance to work together to protect Wano, and thereafter escaping Wano successfully. Maybe. It's possible someone else arrives to help them out, but they are so strong at this point, they should be able to handle themselves reasonably well. Unless another admiral like Akainu or Fujitoro shows up to back up Green Bull. Maybe Kizaru does, because he had originally wanted to go to Wano, and I'd imagine his Delfruit allows him to travel long distances relatively quickly. Then there is Blackbeard and his potential arrival in Wano, as well as if Oda decides to go down that route. Is it possible the Great War for Wano has only just begun, or are we simply in a transitionary stage, and Wano is really going to end by the end of the year? We'll see. But what inspired me to talk about this video, aside from what I alluded to at the beginning about the new bounties, is how in chapter 697 Law mentions something that I think is critical to what happens going forward. Law tells Luffy that their alliance only lasts until they defeat Kaido. Now, not only is Kaido defeated, but so is Big Mom, apparently. Oda is full of surprises after all. But given the passage, or this passage, shouldn't the alliance be over? After the Marines and Green Bull and whatever comes next before Wano officially ends is taken care of, will we get a chapter declaring an end to the alliance, or a discussion about what comes next? Will Luffy as the Straw Hat Captain discuss where they are headed next along the Grand Line, as they head toward Laugh Tale, that final island? And who is joining his crew maybe on the rest of their journey? Will Law and Kid expand their crew as well? Will Law bring up the fact that he told Luffy the alliance would end after Kaido had fallen? Will Law reveal why he truly wanted to go after Kaido? Maybe Law has a bigger goal as it pertains to the people who are truly responsible for destroying his hometown of Fleavance and killing his family. The world government, the ones that relied on Cypher Pole to work with Orochi and Kaido to get the weapons to Doflamingo and from there purchase them on the black market. The gears that Law wanted to break, do they end after Wano, or are there more gears to shatter at Mirjawa? We did find out that Law was interested in learning about this checkered fate, the mystery of the Will of D, and so, where must Law go, or what must he do to discover the true meaning of his name? It seems like that's only possible if they sail along with the Straw Hats. Do you think Law would become an allied captain, not a subordinate, but a permanent ally going into the future? And maybe Law travels with the Straw Hats to the next island. How else can he find out the truth without Nico Robin? Law is also known as the mastermind of the Rocky Port incident, but you could argue he is now the mastermind of the defeat of Kaido here in Wano. While it was by Luffy's hand, quite literally, that Kaido was dethroned as an emperor of the sea, None of this would be possible without Trafalgar D. Water Law, a man who has now masterminded the defeat of a warlord Doflamingo and the Yonko Kaido. What other plans does Law have? What other plans does Ichiro Oda have for him? What else is Law scheming? As they say, the D will always bring another storm. As for Eustass Kid, Nico Robin brought up in chapter 668 how betrayal was a part of alliances. There is an inherent competition among those chasing the same dream, hunting for the same dream, shout out to Togashi. And so as pirates, when all is fair in piracy, even dirty tricks and betrayal, as we saw Kid betrayed by Apu, and abandoned to an extent by Hawkins, who submitted to Kaido. Would Kid betray anyone to get what he wants? Eustass Kid, unlike Law as of this video. Kid very clearly seems to be after the One Piece and the title of Pirate King, making him now Luffy's only remaining rival of this generation, I believe. Again, until we really understand what Law is after. I often exclude Blackbeard as well just because he's much older, even though Blackbeard is from the same worst generation. In my opinion, he's really not. He's really from Shanks and Buggy's generation. But Robin brought up in chapter 668 how betrayal was a part of alliances. We see in that same chapter Usopp react skeptically and harshly to the alliance, and he describes Law as unpredictable, that he wouldn't be comfortable sleeping at night with Law around out of fear that just maybe Law would betray them. Like I pointed out earlier, Kid as of chapter 1053 has once again expressed his willingness to kill Luffy. Is Kid still looking out for the alliance, or is he still only in it for himself? I guess to escape Wano safely, they still have to cooperate for now. But his desire to kill Luffy only reinforces the tremendous jealousy Kid seems to suffer from. Whatever his backstory, for some reason he craves attention and fame, out of all the things Roger mentioned as he died. Wealth, fame, and power. Fame is what Kid is after, and while his bounty is 3 billion berries and equal to Luffy's and Law's bounties, Kid still isn't standing out the way he wants to. Kid clearly wants his name to become known based on his own merit, which reminds me of what Shanks said to Whitebeard about Blackbeard, striving for the top with his own will, and we'll address this in another video. But for Kid to become an emperor, he would need a stronger pirate crew and territory and other accomplishments to rival Shanks, Luffy, Blackbeard, and maybe even Buggy the Clown, depending on what Buggy did to earn his Yonko title. Or maybe Kid just needs to get his hands on an ancient weapon, for example the Pluton that is here in Wano. Do we really believe that Luffy is going to be the only one to find an ancient weapon and have it aligned with him? Law also told us on Punk Hazard that you either fight the emperors or you join them. Luffy is stubborn like the others and refused, and so wanting to be a captain, and Law wanting to be a captain as well, neither wanting to submit to the other. They formed an alliance. But Luffy is a Yonko now. Will Law submit to Luffy? Will Kid? They are no longer on the same level, at least in terms of their titles. I can't see Kid swearing allegiance to Luffy, nor do I see Luffy being the typical Yonko that wants others to bow to him by force. But again, for Kid to be recognized, he would have to take on an emperor out of the 4 current emperors. The most likely targets are Luffy and the emperor Kid went after originally, but failed to take down, losing his arm in the process, and failed again to go after because Kaido interrupted his plans, falling upon Kid from the sky. With Kaido out of the way now, Red-Haired Shanks might become a target of Kid's once again. That would make him Luffy's enemy, wouldn't it? Because Kid is a killer, and Luffy is like Shanks and he won't let you hurt a friend of his. But are Luffy and Kid friends? Kid doesn't seem to think so. Maybe. But Luffy, as of the celebration in chapter 1053, is acting like he does. If the alliance does endure, it's fitting because the combined 3 billion berry bounties of Luffy, Law, and Kid equals 9 billion berries, which is approximately the same as combining the bounties of the emperors they defeated, Big Mom and Kaido. Together they have crippled the weapons dealing or underground arms trafficking of the world government. 2 nations, Dressrosa and Wano, have now been liberated from the government's sanctioned tyranny. I mentioned Law having beef with the world government, and Kid might have his own beef with the world government as evidenced by what he said about the celestial dragons during Saboti, but that conversation is for another day. And we know that Luffy has his own issues with the world government because he declared war on them during Eni's lobby. And Luffy also, iconically, punched a celestial dragon, and to top it off, Luffy has now acted like a revolutionary in freeing the people of Wano from the slavery Kaido wanted to impose upon them, something his father dragon would have done. I guess we could say in total that Luffy, Law, and Kid, if their aims do align anywhere in the near future or distant future, even if they part ways for a time, Surely Oda will have them fight side by side again against the world government at Mer Jawar, challenging Imu and the Celestial Dragons in a final showdown, unless for whatever reason Law or one of them happens to die beforehand. There is one other thing as it pertains to the alliance lasting a little longer, and it goes back to the same chapter where the alliance with Law was discussed. In chapter 668, Law mentions the gigantification experiments on humans, a piece of the world government's research on turning humans into giants that has been worked on for centuries. These gigantified humans look like Kaido in the numbers, and Kaido's backstory is so vague that it left much to be desired objectively. Is it possible that the SSG Vegapunk has been working on relates to perfecting the numbers in any way? Could we see a bunch of mini Kaidos or even mini ancient giants like Oars and Oars Jr.? Some even think Luffy's Gear 5 Devil Fruit powers and the ability to increase his size and self-gigantify, you could say, at will along with these gigantification experiments of the world government, are hints that the Elbaf Arc, a land of giants, is next. Maybe to undisclose further mysteries about why having giants is so important, combined with Buggy's preoccupation with the giants that left his crew to join Luffy's Grand Fleet. Maybe this causes Buggy along with everyone on the new wanted posters to meet up at Elbaf in the end. A meeting of all 4 Yonkos in the same place, kind of like the Kage Summit in Naruto. Or maybe some new pacifistas or even experiments that combine all of Vegapunk's discoveries together. Giant robots or cyborgs infused with artificial Devil Fruit powers. New enemies that rival not just the warlords of the sea, but maybe even 1 or 2 creations that can rival an admiral or an emperor in strength. Think of the sudden introduction of the androids after we thought Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta were the strongest in the verse. It's a way for Oda to keep his fights and power system competitive and interesting, I think. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all of this. What will happen to the Alliance and what will happen in Wano before the arc is finally over? I'm sure whatever Luffy, Kid, and Law do next is going to surprise all of us. But as usual, we will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment with your thoughts below, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Also click the notification bell. And if you have a Twitter, feel free to give me a follow on there as well. As always, there is more to come. Until next time.